Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
Yeah, he and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love.
Hey, now we're going to switch tracks. Welcome, everyone, one and all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's cross-ideological space, where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Gang, today we've got a show for you. Oh my goodness, the news has been rife lately with juicy stuff. But from Comey's 8647 tweets to the knowledge that Biden apparently has prostate cancer, and many on the left deciding that they were going to cheer for this, and many on the right alleging conspiracy. It's been a lot. Today's topics. Today we are going to talk about left-wing violence. Is it an actual real problem in America, or is it being overblown? Is it being blown out of proportion by the Trump administration and MAGA and stuff in order to try to paint the left as a violent group of criminals, etc.? We have brought a wonderful group of guests here to discuss that. And I $5 before we do that from Zephyr Hash to say, Wick, is it going to be a left violence is nothing compared to right violence versus all violence is bad panel? Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to give the mic first to Nonfon, and all these people are going to have a brief introduction, tell people who you are, and opening thoughts on the matter, and then we'll just kind of go around the room. Sound good? Sound good? Nonfon, open us up. Give us what you got. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Nonfon. I'm a lib-left streamer. You can check me out on YouTube at Nonfon, Nonfon. I do a lot of debates like this, and I think typically left-wing violence is overblown by the right. It's not to say that there aren't any issues, especially I think the left did really bad during 2020, during the whole BLM thing. But, stating that any of this 8647 stuff is actually serious or going to inspire violence, I think is stupid. And I think more generally, rather than left-right, violence is a lot of times better understood as pro-establishment versus anti-establishment. I think there's a decent amount of anti-establishment people on the right who you also see supporting things like Luigi doing what he did.
Okay, thank you for being here. We're going to get into it as we go. Let's go with Lactoid. No stranger to the show, but it's been a bit. Welcome back. Oh, you're muted on your end, buddy. On the Discord.
How about now? Am I going through okay?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
All right, sick. All right, so whether or not it's being overblown, I guess would really depend on who's doing the talking. Do I think that the left in this country is Satan worshipers that are plotting the doom of society? No, I think that'd be a little bit extreme if somebody takes that position. Do I think that the violence that the left perpetuates is significant and serious, and is not necessarily taken as seriously as it should be? I think that's probably is the case. I think the most expensive riots in history just occurred during the BLM riots that were mentioned here by Nonfon. We have a significant amount of damage, deaths, and large amounts of injuries. This was either tacitly or even overtly supported by a lot of Democrat politicians at the time. We also have three-fourths of Democrats thinking that Rittenhouse should have gotten convicted for defending himself against a violent attacker, thus implicitly supporting the violent attacker. This is three-fourths of Democrats. You also have a large amount of leftists generally, or people who swing left, supporting the shooting of Brian Thompson, which I think is pretty disgusting. And then there's all the violence coming from Antifa, the fact that a third of Democrats say that would have been a good thing if Trump had actually gotten shot. And just generally, violent felons are just by and large more likely to be Democrats. I think that there is a sort of implicit violence and an internalized violence on the left that just doesn't get enough credit. Of course, there's violence on both sides. I think that's fair. I think it's fair to point out. I just think that the left sort of sells themselves to this kind of hippie, nonviolent, tolerant sort of organization, or I guess alignment, when in reality it's not.
Okay, thank you for being here. We'll get into it as we go. Next up, also no stranger to my panels, the one, the only, not a general, right? Not a colonel, but the Admiral, Gibbs.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always good to be here. Love coming. It's always fun. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the left is got a violence problem right now. Lactoid mentioned the BLM riots. Basically, I like to call it the BLM insurrection, where they actually took over land in one of the major cities. People died. I think the numbers were like something like 1 to 2 billion in direct damage, 20 billion over the next 10 to 20 years is what it's looking like the projections are. Awful stuff. I mean, we can just look at Democrat commentators on major news networks actively calling for the deaths of refugees fleeing a genocide in South Africa. It's crazy. They're actively doing this. Big fans, I guess. We've seen one of the guys with tangential connections to BlackRock, and they donated Dem Party, shoot at one of our presidents. They saw another guy, avid Ukraine supporter, has some other left-wing tendency beliefs. He tried to shoot at Trump by his golf course. And then third, we all know how much the Dems love Iranian-backed terrorist groups. Iran seemed to have also taken a pot shot at the president. And I would say that's tangentially we can give that to the left as their fault. So overall, they just support terrorism in general. So it's no surprise when terrorism happens at home. And I got to say, yeah, they have a problem. And I think people are recognizing that this is a problem when 2 in 5 Tesla owners are saying they've had their vehicle vandalized. Now, that's crazy because a few years ago, people were buying Teslas to save the environment. And now 2 out of every 5 of those people are having their shit damaged, because they thought going green was a good thing. But I digress. The leftists, y'all are violent, terroristic individuals. And why would y'all support someone like Hassan that has a literal terrorist on his channel talking? If y'all weren't terrorists yourselves.
Okay. Send me one of them group chat invites or whatever, right? Like you know what I'm talking about, so we can share the chat and share the wealth. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. I guess we'll get into it as we go. Next up, first time guest on my show, Potts David G. What is Potts?
That is correct. Yes, that's fine. It's just my name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ahead,
so, hello. I'm new. Excited to be here. Hope to represent the left pretty well. My position. First of all, you can find me on YouTube. Same name, Potts David G. And my position here will be pretty simple. I'm not saying that left-wing violence doesn't exist. I'm not saying that left-wing violence can't be dangerous. But what I am going to say is that it is nowhere near the most pressing issue that some people on the right make it out to be. And I think that it is, no matter what examples we go over and talk about in this debate, that it will not be, it'll fall into one of 3 categories. First up, it won't actually be an example of left-wing violence, broadly supported by the left, or no major organization or political party, meaning Democrats, PACs, other political groups, or any position in power will support this or endorse it. They will call it out. They will say that it's bad, and they will agree that it shouldn't be happening. Or it will be nowhere near as bad as January 6th. There is just no example like that ever on the left of us doing anything close to that. And not only was it horrible, but I think that one of the biggest problems in society as a whole right now is that people do not have the ability to acknowledge the difference in magnitude of different political things that are going on. I think that left-wing violence right now is very, very low on the totem pole of things we should care about politically. And I think that the biggest thing right now is Donald Trump's assault on our republic. I think that that is just hands down what should be at the top of every conversation. And I think that left-wing violence just is completely overblown and not something that we should be focusing any time on. So
okay,
that's all.
Thank you for being here. We will get into it as we go. Appreciate you for coming on. Next up, someone else who hasn't been here in a while, Staxiums.
How's it going? Yeah, so I'd be happy to admit that left-wing political actors can have pretty extreme language, can engage in pretty extreme rhetoric. And I've been on this show being frustrated with left-wing political actors who support Houthis or Hamas and other terrorist organizations. But there are 2 lenses that I really need to stress. First off, this political violence is extremely non-institutional. It's not coming from the It's not coming from the President of the United States or mainstream political figures. Largely, Democratic officials decry and disengage from all of these sort of violent tendencies. Secondly, this violence is largely non-harmful. People have already cited the Tesla bombings, which, as far as I'm aware, haven't even injured anyone. They've largely just been vandalism, which I don't support, but nonetheless, that should be weighted. I'd love to talk about violence, and I'm committed to the fact that there are leftists who are on my side who have violent rhetoric. However, I will not hear about it from people who consider Ashley Babbitt a hero and the President of the United States rhetoric a non-issue.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Spicy. We'll get into it. Last but certainly not least, someone who hasn't, again, he's been on my show before, but it's been a while. The Big JC. Give us what you got.
Howdy. I'm the Big JC. I'm a neoliberal, which in some places means I'm too left for you, in some places means I'm a Nazi. So take that as you will. While the raw number of incidents of political violence almost certainly favor the right, I think we've seen lots of statistics to back that up, and conservatives broadly do little to nothing to contribute to the cessation of that violent rhetoric that kind of leads to that stochastic terrorism. There is still a lot of support that portions of the left grant to violent actors like the murderer Luigi Mangione or the terrorist organization Hamas that when we don't come out as a Democratic Party, is kind of the perspective I'm framing this through. If we don't come out and condemn this, it makes us all look fucking insane. Regardless of the number of incidences, the ones that we choose to focus on are like so incontrovertibly like horrible, but it's so much of the social media left, which I think we all acknowledge at this point plays a lot more of a factor into electoral politics than we previously gave it credit for. A lot of these social media actors will get behind these violent actors or violent groups to the detriment of Democrats as a whole and the left in America as a whole. And I think we need to be loud and vocal about denouncing these violent groups and actors and anybody who supports them.
Okay. Well, thus the stage is set for yet another WIC discussion on a WIC panel. Let's get into it. Floor's open. If you have getting in, raise your hand, whatever.
Can I have a question for you?
No, like that. Go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
I guess this is a question for the panel that is related to something you said. Does anybody here think that Ashley Babbitt was a hero? I certainly don't. Does anybody here think Ashley Babbitt was a hero?
Okay, sorry for strawmanning you. That's fair enough.
Sure. So, and I just want to point out, only 30% of Republicans support January 6th, as opposed to 84% of Democrats who support Black Lives Matter protests in 2020.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter protests are not the same thing as January 6th.
That's a pretty extreme false dichotomy.
Yeah.
Or,
well, hold on. That's not really...
You're right. One was far more expensive and involved literally taking over a section of the U.S. and declaring it separate from the rest of it.
There's like a more general...
The motivation is largely BLM.
Can I get a concession from the... Can I get a concession from the conservatives that right-wing political violence in America far outweighs in number of incidences left-wing political violence in America?
Well, hold on.
Hold on. No, hold on.
Because this goes back to last.
Hold on.
There's a poll out from April 8th stating that 55% of Dems are Democratic people below a certain age group. I believe it's like in the 20s, and is saying that they are willing and okay with political assassination.
That's super awesome. It has nothing to do with what I just asked about, right?
That's what I said. That's why I said before you go there. Great. Anyway,
are you referring to like terrorism specifically?
Yeah. So
I'm saying if you look at DHS statistics, right wing.
Hold on. One at a time. We gotta let Admiral Gibbs finish his point, and then everyone can respond to him. Gibbs, finish your point, then I'm gonna let everyone else respond.
Real quick, so when we have like a segment of our youth, let's go to I think it's 25 people, 25 and under are saying this, are saying that 55% of them that are left leaning are okay with political violence up to including assassination. That's fucking terrifying. It indicates kind of what Lactoid was speaking to with his statistic a few minutes ago, that this is a problem that's going to become more widespread as we go forward, as opposed to dying off.
Do you think that violence is just a general sentiment that was kind of brought into the spotlight because of events like January 6th?
No, BLM was before January 6th.
Yes, I would still really like to.
I'm just saying that, like.
So no, the answer is no. I don't think that.
Oh, okay.
Could I throw this in? I think that
non-fun, then stats.
That's fine.
Sure. I would hope that we would acknowledge, like, if you ask a Democrat, like, if they support BLM or whatever, they're not thinking like specifically, do I support like the Chaz uprising? They're thinking like, do I support like the general movement, which I believe has good goals and which the majority protests for which were peaceful. Even if they probably do condemn the actual rioting.
So this data comes from following the BLM riots that occurred throughout the quote-unquote Summer of Love. And that it's probably the case that the people who approve overall of the protests and the movement, maybe not all of them are going to say, well, I particularly supported the violence. Just like I would say the 30% of Republicans that supported January 6th, most of them see it look at the the majority of nonviolent people who are standing outside the Capitol. Maybe they support that. Maybe they'll say, I don't necessarily support the actual breaking of certain things, etc. Getting that level of nuance, I agree, would be difficult. But I just want to point out that in both scenarios, you have an incident, I guess, that had a tremendous amount of violence intertwined with it on both occasions. And you have the overwhelming amount of Democrats willing to overlook that at the very least and support the overall thing, when you don't see that among most Republicans. You see that among a minority of Republicans.
I think the main issue with that is that there is no good component of January 6th. There wasn't a number of righteous people who were willing to invade the Capitol and trying to hang Mike Pence. Sure, there might have been more innocent actors, but they still nonetheless were breaking and entering into a public official or into a political gathering intending to overrun an election. Now, Black Lives Matter, you might get frustrated with, you might disagree with the reason why we're moving forward. You might disagree with abolishing the police, as do I. But I still engaged in Black Lives Matter because I still felt like there was still a huge positive element to it. And the every single event that I attended was extremely peaceful. And police were not needed to be called. So if I would be asked, do I support Black Lives Matter? I would say absolutely. But I think that it's fair to say, I don't know how you could support January 6th in any positive light.
No, This is a complete false dichotomy to begin with, because all of the rioters, or the majority of them, that damaged property, that were apprehended, face justice for the crimes they committed. Donald Trump will never, ever see the inside of a courtroom for trying to coup the United States government. So even comparing this, again, this is why, I'm okay with framing this as a party critique, hey, lefties, we gotta, make sure we're shooing the violence out of our party, but conservatives have absolutely no room to stand when it comes to violent rhetoric and violent action in America. Absolutely none.
Most Republicans reject January 6th. Most Democrats.
What does that mean? What do you mean most Republicans reject January 6th?
70% disapprove of January 6th, only 30%.
What about...
Wait, disapprove of? How many Republicans following January 6th thought the election had been stolen?
Well, hold on.
A lot of them? I don't know. What does that do to violence?
With that,
I don't know.
Think that they would have a right? Hold on. Let's just examine that. If you truly believe the election was stolen, right, based off the information that presented to you. Now, I know not all information is equal, but if you truly believe the election had been stolen, do you think that in that case violence would have been justified?
So you just justified an insurrection, Gibbs. Good job. Thank you very much for saying that. Yes, it was okay to do an insurrection because we thought that it was truly stolen.
Gibbs, wait, hold on. I need a that doesn't make any sense, Gibbs, okay? Because I want to point to this. Fine, you know what? I'll say this. If the facts showed that an election was stolen, I would probably participate in
you just justified an insurrection too.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Sure, I would in a corrupt enough society where a democracy was falling apart, absolutely I would engage in political violence in order to recorrect that. That's a pretty cold ass take. Now, what I'm going to point out is that the vast majority of violence that you're referring to, specifically things like Kyle Rittenhouse, are also operating off of ignorance and not necessarily an impulse for violence. For example, the average Democrat will hear what happened with Rittenhouse and they just went, oh, well, someone shot 3 people at a Black Lives Matter movement, and then he got completely let off. And that's just another indication of Rittenhouse being set free. Now, obviously, he was acting in self-defense, but that is operating outside of ignorance. That's not an endorsement of violence. Does that make sense?
No. Then they're ignorantly supporting violence. No, you can ignorantly support violence, right? When they attack Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Whether or not you oppose or you support him getting in trouble, if you do it because, let's say, you're just actually we want the BLM rioters to attack and to burn stuff. We like that. We want them to be able to attack people and get away with it. And you have another person who just has no idea and here we are years later, has done no effort whatsoever to educate themselves about the situation, but still holds their position. Both of them are equally dangerous in the voting booth.
Well, I think the biggest thing we're missing...
Hold on. Potts, go ahead, and then I have a question for Lack.
Okay, the biggest difference between BLM and January 6th that, no matter what about the facts, is that the president of the United States was the one who organized that event and led those people there. So it like BLM was just a group. It was a bunch of separate organizations under one movement in different states over a long period of time, multiple protests. January 6th was an organized event by the president, the leader of the Republican Party, organized them to go there and with the intention of intimidating Mike Pence into changing, violating the Electoral Count Act. That's what happened. There's a massive difference. They aren't comparable at all.
I have a question for this panel because I might not remember my history. Did Joe Biden pardon any Black Lives Matter violent activists? No, that was just Donald Trump. That was just Donald Trump for January 6th. Right. Okay. Gotcha. I don't understand how we can talk about endorsement of violence without referring to Donald Trump pardoning cop beaters.
Well, this is why I said like conservatives have no room to criticize the left in this area because they can't even control themselves when it comes to political violence, let alone criticize other parties.
Widespread pardoning is insane. It's insane, and the fact that the president of the United States signed off on that,
which was that was a widely unpopular move by Trump. To be fair, but that's because a lot of people got duped into voting for him.
One at a time. Gibbs, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, this is ludicrous. The reason I asked Saxton that question earlier is because, I think it's a pretty reasonable and cold take that if you truly believe that the election had been stolen, violence is reasonable. I don't think that's a stretch for anybody here to imagine, right? The reason I said that is then it comes back to what Lactoid's point was, which is 70% of Republicans disapprove of January 6th. That indicates that within the Republican Party, 70% of people said, hey, we don't think this was stolen. This is a fringe outlying group. That's bad. However, when I go and look, and I have the poll, and I posted it in the chat, it's saying 55% of Dems are okay with the murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I think there's a slight difference between the two.
Do you think that has anything to do with the actions that those two individuals have taken as vestments of institutional power?
Hold on.
You think there's a little bit of a difference there?
Let me finish. Yeah, I think there's a massive difference. I think there's a massive difference between the Republicans overall, as a whole, disown January 6th.
No, that's not
true.
true.
On to this, while 55% are willing to say, hey,
Gibbs,
we should have more Luigi's.
You know who doesn't disown January 6th? Donald Trump.
As well as all the people who voted for him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Absolutely not. Like, this is ridiculous.
It's not enough of a disincentive because they still voted for them. They still voted for him.
Bro, how are you going to talk about pardons when we literally have the auto pen scandal going on? We don't even know.
Oh my God! Do not bring up you mean the Gibbs scandal? The last time you were on here, chill out, little bro.
No. I'm only bringing this up because you brought up pardons. This guy gave out preemptive pardons to stop investigations. I don't want to hear about pardons, bro.
We're even bringing up the pardons to stop the endorsement of violence. He's saying it's okay that my supporters.
It is endorsement of violence. You're endorsing organized crime. That's violence.
Who did Hunter Biden murder? I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm trying to figure out who he attacked, who he assaulted. Now, we can be frustrated with the pardoning of
That's who James Comey was signaling to, Hunter Biden.
I don't know. John he'd never leave anybody's murder everywhere anywhere in the world.
Activated.
Yeah.
I got my orders.
Agent B, we need you.
Well, I do have a question, though, for Gibbs and for Lactoid's side, if you will, in this, right? And because you mentioned the statistic, and I'll just grant you that it's true, that of the 55% of young Democrats who post...
that seems reasonable.
Right, it seems a reasonable thing, and I think it is condemnable. Do you acknowledge, though, that most of the right, most Republicans of all age groups, support Trump's violent deportation of people for their freedom of speech?
For their freedom of speech.
Yep, for their freedom of speech.
I don't know if I call this.
Op-eds about...
I agree with that.
Wait, Lactoid, finish it. Say it. You don't know you consider it what?
I agree with the framing.
I don't know if I consider this to be like political violence.
Oh my God. Yes. So it's not political violence to be removed from the country that you're currently living in for reasons of your speech.
Hold on.
Yes. Thank you, MAGA.
Let me explain. Arguably, I don't support the deportation of Khalil, by the way. But arguably, right, would you consider, it could be considered violence to like arrest murderers too, right? Technically, any kind of state action, I suppose you could argue is violence by the state. But if it's enforcing a genuine set of laws, which it looks like he very well may have legal authority to do what he's doing when it comes to Mahmoud Khalil, even though I don't support it.
So why don't you support it out of curiosity?
Well, I don't support it because like I'm a really big freedom
But
speech
you
guy.
admit,
Well, wait, how is it a violation of freedom of... Wait,
hold on.
yeah, it's like murder, right? It's the same thing.
Stop.
Same
I
level of
understand you
offense.
don't lactoid, but you acknowledge that most Republicans do.
Sure, but from my opposition
Not
to it
just
has to do
Khalil, but,
right. Sure, my
Oscar
opposition
and the dozen.
all people you're going to mention. Yeah, my opposition to it has to do with my strong affinity towards freedom of expression and freedom of speech. And there's plenty of criticism here, honestly. And I've been pretty vocal on Twitter criticizing Trump about these actions based on like a First Amendment kind of, not First Amendment, but freedom of speech kind of background.
But I'm talking about
I understand I do as well, but I don't think that like supporting this is necessarily being in favor of like political violence in the kind that we're talking about. Like, I think that when BLM like, is attacking innocent people, when people are dying, when the most expensive rights in history are happening, when places are getting burned down, when they're occupying certain areas, and all this being brazenly illegal, and you have Democrat politicians, right, multiple of them, including Kamala Harris, who are making statements that really aren't all that critical and actually do appear to be demonstrate some kind of implicit support for the protest. I think that this is political violence in the sense that we're having this discussion.
Lactoid, do you think it's political violence? Do you think it's political violence to deport someone for something they say, yes or no?
Well, hold on. I also want to get into this.
I think it's political violence.
There's a lot of people, and I'm much more in the pro like deport a lot of people camp right now. And it's not because of the free speech. Yeah, as long as it's legal it's not for the free speech aspect. Mainly for me, it's because of the crime. We have illegal immigration. I don't care about it. However, I do want to say I think there is a large segment of Republicans, and I am somewhat sympathetic to this view. It's not my view per se, but I at least understand where they come from. Whenever I have an example from out of the United States, I'll use is the pro-Hamas imam Zafir Khan, or I think I'm probably butchered his name. I apologize for that. He just got kicked out of Italy after living there for 30 years because he, quote, called for active jihad in Italy. Now, they said, okay, this guy's been a legal resident for 30 years, and now he said something that's saying we should have active violence in the streets here in Italy, potentially. And we kicked him out. Now, whenever I hear that, I say, hey, that's based. If you don't want to be here and you want to cause violence, we don't want you here. You're at our pleasure. You can say what you want, but you know what? If you want to keep saying these things, guess what? Go home. I get that argument. And I think there's something to be said for that argument when people are here saying anti-American things, calling for potential violence here in America, and then Trump goes, hey, cool, your visa's revoked, get the fuck out.
Sorry, there is nothing more American than being anti-American.
I have a quick question. Is depriving someone of their Second Amendment rights like political violence or a form of political violence? Do we all agree with that pretty much?
Not necessarily.
Depriving visas is that what you said?
Okay.
Like for example, would you like for if
any position to win an argument? I guess.
Can I explain? Like if the government currently has a law, let's say, that says if you're a felon you can't own a gun. Would you call this violence?
Yes, I actually would call that a form of political violence. Yeah, I would actually call that a form of political violence. Yeah, I would. You know what I would say? I would say by committing a felony in the United States of America, you have warranted a level of political violence upon yourself by infringing on the laws of society and the country. I would call that political violence, actually.
So now all we have to do now is to find out like which party enforces more laws, and then that's the party that's more politically violent. There you go.
Well, look, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely what I meant, Lactoid. 100%. Good job. Good job. Well done. Yep, 100%.
You said enforcing.
That's the natural implication. Yep. 100%.
Any like more enforcement. It's not a straw man at all.
And he bitched about being straw manned out the gate too. Isn't that pathetic?
That is what he just said.
He said, "Stop."
He's not saying any law. He's saying this specific law.
Okay, can you name me enforcing a law that wouldn't require violence? How do you enforce a law without any kind of violence?
Hold on, maybe I can help. Maybe I can help.
Of course, it would require violence. How else do you enforce a law?
I understand being applied here.
Understand what I'm saying?
So if the government came to your house, Lactoid, right? The government came to your house. They didn't imply you were breaking a law or anything like that, right? They didn't give you notice. They didn't serve a warrant. They didn't do anything. They came to your house and they shot you, right? For no reason, right? You didn't break any laws. You would consider that violence? Yes?
It's violence in the sense of like enforcing the law. In this case, if it's be extra legal, then I guess you could potentially put it in the category that we're talking about in this panel. But I wouldn't say that enforcing a law is like violence in the way that we're talking about it on this panel. That's not like political violence.
I agree with that. What's crazy is they've all become libertarian.
Can we define political violence then? Let's
Thank you.
let Lactoid please
Okay,
define
we're-
political violence.
Well, they just discovered
I think it's
libertarianism.
reasonable
They're
to
over
say
here
that
like
the
saying,
state
"Hey,
meant to-
hating laws is violence. If you pay taxes, that's violence now." I mean,
Taxes
if that's
are violence.
Okay, fine. I'm saying let's nail down a definition.
Good point.
Libertarian.
All taxes.
Quit whining. Holy God.
Your definition's right. All taxes are
fucking
theft.
idiots.
All theft
All
is
right.
violence. It's all violence.
Right.
Democrats are by far the most violent. You're right.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on.
I think the largest
think-
tax increase in history
Wow.
with the tariffs. That would be the violence.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, hold on. That would be violence. You're right. But overall, who taxes more? Democrats do. They are overall more
Not
violent.
with
There
tariffs.
you go.
But let's
Okay,
give it to.
yeah, I think it's
Oh.
right.
Tariffs are
Okay.
violence. Let's talk about the tariffs.
So
Can I
true.
I'm just saying.
Sure, I think it's.
Just for the
I
purpose
think, I
of
think
this debate, I
Lightfoot's
think-
reasonable in saying like the state is meant to have a monopoly on violence, and it's so insofar as the state is like enforcing its own laws, even if those laws are unjustified, it's probably not really political violence. But I will say, it seems like you could run the same type of defense Gibbs ran, where you say like if the state is doing something you think is unjustified, like illegal deportations, whether they're legal or not, if you severely disagree with them, or if they're severely immoral. Could you argue people are justified in types of violence to resist that?
You could.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and the left often does.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah, that's
can we
why I
stop
can't-
being? I feel like we're being morons on this. Okay, there's two sides of stupidity on this. Okay, the first is all laws are violence because the state needs to enact some sort of violence in order to maintain it. Okay, that is stupid. Okay, that's a libertarian, stupid ass leftist position. Okay, then you've got the other side, which is like essentially everything. Nothing that is legal is violence, which would also seem to be your position. Okay, can we have a little bit of a middle ground and
Where's
say
the distinction? Give me the distinction. Give me a logical distinction between the two.
between?
I asked you for a
Give me
definition of
sure.
political violence first, buddy.
Where is the line and why?
Fine.
Go ahead.
Fine, I understand. We'll say one is from the left. It's a left wing perspective of the same thing, and one is the right wing perspective of the same thing. Okay, can we turn on our brain cells a little bit and say, obviously, that the state can enact some sort of violence onto its people, even if it's quote unquote legal?
Where's the line? Why isn't taxation violent?
I don't have to demonstrate a line. I can just say, hey,
can just
this
say
is
it?
clearly illegal and this is clearly legal. No. That's such
I think
that's
taxes
a
are
logical
violence,
fallacy. I can point
This
to
is not a
two
logical
clear
fallacy.
examples of two different examples without
Why are
stipulating
taxes
a line
not,
between them.
Why are taxes not violence? Give me the underlying principle that would make taxes not violence, but would make the thing that you're talking about.
I don't need to enforce one. That's not how definitions work. They're
Wait, hold on.
essentially
If I don't-
No. I'm asking
Hold
for
on,
a
hold on,
principle that
Baiting
you're
me to
using.
ignore.
How are you I'm not asking you necessarily
Wasting
for a
your
line now
time.
because you said you don't want to
If
provide
I don't pay
that. What are
taxes,
you,
what happens?
Gibbs, 1 second. What are you what method are you using? What principle are you using to distinguish between a state action that is violence and a state action that is not violence? What's your principle?
I don't know if I have a clear one. But I don't know.
It's a vibe.
I
It's a
do
vibe.
not
You just
need
look
one.
at it.
I'm gonna say that deporting people. I'm gonna say wait, hold on. I got you right here. I'm gonna say that deporting.
Define it nebulously.
I'm gonna say that I'll nail it down. I can nail it down.
JC a chance.
I can nail it
JC,
down. I'm gonna say that deporting. Oh my God, he loves.
That's not what I said at all.
Man, I thought nobody loved the sound of their own voice more than me. Holy shit. I'm going to say that deporting people based on just things they say that are critical of the current administration or its direction is a lot closer to the BLM type violence y'all are bitching about than taxation. Does that ground it out a little bit more for
I
you?
think taxation is looting. They're looting me. That's what they're doing.
Okay,
every
well,
paycheck.
They're robbing
Classic
nobody
looting.
cares, Lactoid. Nobody cares.
Give you a
Nobody
bullshit
cares.
back.
A lot of us
You
graduated that
give me money
ideology in
back as a
high
pay.
school, okay? A lot of us are adults now, so nobody cares that you think that it's so mean of the government to take your money, okay? Get over it and come back to the
looting
debate
it.
with
They're
us,
not just
okay?
they're looting
Come
it.
back to the
They're
debate with
looting
us,
my
buddy.
money.
Come on.
Hold on. That's
They're
ridiculous.
sending
That's ridiculous.
armed
First of all,
thugs with guns to take my money. Okay,
No,
this is
we
what
just
happens. And if I don't do it,
Hold on.
they put me in a cage. They put me in a cage. People with guns. This is horrible violence. How is this not violence?
If you want to, if you want to have like the NAP taxation and stuff debate, I'm sure Gibbs can set that
I
up.
am just making the point. No, not
I just want to be clear. I tried to like bring it back
I'm
to the
making a
actual
point.
core of the debate, and Lactoid's the one who's still flailing around about paying taxes.
No, the only one of you that actually gets it is non-fun. Okay, I'm making a point. The point that I'm making is that you guys have no discerning principle between what is going to be state violence during this conversation and what isn't.
Andrew Wilson, we don't have to have that for this purposes of this conversation, especially I don't have to ground it out to a conservative. Okay, thanks.
Let me finish a
Once
sentence.
he finishes,
Okay?
I'll get it.
Somebody else can jump in. So the reason why I'm making this point is, like, you guys have no principle that you're using to discern between the two. You're literally saying, oh, look at this. This clearly looks like violence to me. Therefore, this is a kind of state violence that I want to talk about in this conversation about political violence.
What's your discerning principle?
My initial
Oh, he's a conservative. They don't have any. MAGA doesn't have any.
My initial point is that all of this is state violence. I would say deportations are state violence. I would say taxation is state violence. I would say
Wait, now you're saying deportations are state violence? Wait, bro, you are such a lying fuck. Holy shit.
I would say,
you can't even keep it consistent through one debate? This hasn't even, we haven't even going for an hour.
Back the stream and you'll see the point that I'm making, okay?
Yo, okay, yeah, the context, Hassan, that'll liberate you.
It's wild.
Okay.
Wait, I wasn't able to finish my sentence yet. Please, without these fucking animals jumping on me, okay?
Playing
I'm trying to make it quick. So, all of these things are state violence. When we're here talking about political violence, I assumed that we were having a conversation outside of the state monopoly on violence. I would assume that we're talking about outside of the state enforcing the laws. If we want to,
that would be convenient for you to escape this criticism, wouldn't it?
Inconvenient for you, because what that would mean then is I'm going to bring up taxation, because taxation is state violence. So I'm assuming if we want to have a conversation about political violence, you should probably leave the state violence, which is overwhelmingly committed, like in all sorts of ways that you guys don't think is violence, because you guys have no discerning principle between taxation.
Yeah, right, but you were caught in 4K, like going back at something you said in this debate in less than like 45 minutes. Okay, it's frustrating. I know.
Do you feel like Donald Trump, first off, exercised his constitutional right to pardon whoever he would choose, whoever he would like to? He pardoned violent citizens. Okay, and in some ways, tacitly endorsed violence being done onto the citizens because they can retroactively be pardoned by the state. Do you feel like that might be dangerous?
Well,
even though he's following the law. He's following the law.
No, hold on. He didn't promise to pardon to encourage violence.
Sorry?
What does pardoning them do? Pardoning
he didn't. No. Let me ask you this. He pardoned after the fact.
No, I understand, but do you think he tacitly endorses violence because he's showing that if you enact violence, but do it through his wants and needs, in his name, that he'll endorse them?
Okay, so I want you to think. Hold on, Staxis.
Do you think that's a concern, even though it's all legal?
Hold on. Before we get there, because this is important. This is what you and JC just did.
No, he's not going to. Yep, he's going to completely run away from this. MAGA will never address their own hypocrisy. This is why I said they have no room to lecture us on any of this shit.
That standard, he's going to be much more consistent than y'all. And to make that a true statement,
I get all that.
Hold on. You and JC both said, the violence is defined nebulously. Basically, it's defined on how I interpret violence. Okay, cool.
No, that's not.
Yes, that is. That is what you said.
That's the same thing. Yep, that's basically the same thing.
Verbatim what you said.
Yep,
now,
verbatim.
You're saying non-fawn understands. Why are you saying that? It's because non-fawn understands the consistency we have going through. If you're going to say violence can be defined nebulously, then in this case, if Trump perceives this, hey, these guys were not acting violently because I defined it nebulously in Donald Trump's name, then guess what? These guys weren't violent at all.
It's
because guess what? It meets my criteria.
Okay, all right.
I thought I was supposed to be yelling about Hamas.
They challenged me. I'd like to refute this. I'd like to refute this.
Let me just finish, and that's fine. That's fine. Let me finish, and that's why Lactoid, what I'm saying, is much more consistent, because I could go, okay, if we're talking about state violence, taxation theft, because if I don't pay taxes, they violently apprehend me and I force me to pay, or they garnish my wages, or they put me in jail and I'm forced to do this. Or if there's
I'd like to go.
I want clarity from the audience.
This is why it's the
I have a
consistency
question,
check versus
too.
you said, we define it nebulously however we see fit.
Cool.
So Donald Trump's not committed.
Hold on, everyone shut up.
Thank you, Brother Gibbs.
Clarifying question that you actually said what I thought you said, and I heard it correctly. If I heard it incorrectly, then we're going to have a different conversation. But if I heard it correctly, I'm going to give it to Staxiums, and Staxiums can go, right? Did you just say that if Donald Trump says that they weren't being violent, then they weren't being violent?
True. Republicans can't do violence, because violence is defined when Democrats do it. And we just define a chair a certain way, so why can't we define violence that way?
I have an answer for that.
No.
Okay, I would like to open this up for cross-examination. Lactoid or Gibbs, either of you guys, who would like to approach the bench?
Gibbs.
That's not how this works. I forget how. I'm not a lawyer. Gibbs, can I interrogate you? I have a question.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. How would you define violence? Because hold on. Before you go, here's my claim. You also define it nebulously. That's how fucking language and definitions work. But go ahead. How do you define violence?
Let me answer.
Sure. Lactoid, you can go for it. Go for it.
Here's how I define violence. Violence is when Democrats use force against people.
Okay, cool. So just fucking memes. Okay, got it.
I can define it however I want. We can define it however we want, can't we? A chair. What's a chair? What's a chair, Staxiums? You can't define it.
Hey, Lactoid, was the Holocaust state violence?
If you want to engage the game, we can do the game.
Was the Holocaust state violence?
Hold on.
No. Let's do the game. Let's do the actual game. I'm ready.
Stop.
This is really stupid.
Stop. You guys are so stupid about language, okay? We can all agree.
I'm going to be good face if you let me answer.
We can all agree I'm sitting in a chair.
We don't need to do that. Staxiums, so we don't have to do that. Look, okay, I'll engage. You want me to define
I can give you the principle of what a chair is.
Sure.
I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear how you can from like
violence is any time one person physically asserts their will against that other person's will. It makes them do something.
Wait, hold on. Violently asserts their will over another person's will. So taxation is theft, correct? Or taxation is violence, right?
That'd be one form of violence, yeah.
Okay, cool. And when a parent says, "Hey, kid, knock it off, or you're grounded," that's also violence, right? You're enacting violence on a child.
That makes sense.
When you go to the dentist, you get a cavity filled. Is that violence as well?
It would be violence against the.
Oh my god, bro!
What
Come
the hell are we
on.
talking about? Because here's the thing. Here's your problem.
Anything to escape accountability for the insurrection, right? Anything to do
The moment you
that.
walk outside and fucking touch grass, the moment your definition of violence blows up, no one says, "Hey,
Spectrum, not a binary.
It's a spectrum.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a spectrum.
Not a binary.
I'm saying it's a spectrum. That's my whole argument. That it's nebulous.
That's not your argument at all.
How is it not my argument?
I'll explain.
That's not my argument. You asked for a line. I don't need a line. That's what a spectrum is.
Well, no. Actually, you put lines on spectrums all the time.
We have a simple line. It's very easy.
You put lines.
Those are arbitrary. Those are arbitrary lines on a spectrum.
You can have it. You can have it. Choose the definition.
Everyone shut up. Everyone shut up. This is this farce.
Let Nanfon talk.
I've let it gone on long enough because it was kind of funny, right? But I do
define
want to have
funny,
some
Wick.
sort of
it's funny in Spectrum, Wick.
All of you shut up,
Yeah.
or we'll
What a stupid fucking question. I'm sorry.
I want to get.
I agree. It was a
matter
stupid
at
question.
hand. The core of the debate tonight, the core of the question tonight, is left-wing violence being overblown by the right wing, or is it, as many on the right would say, a serious and growing threat that most of, if not all, of the left engages?
Oh, okay.
Give it to Namfon. Give it to Namfon, who's been very good,
Yes.
and the least clowny of all of you.
Hey. It's true, though.
I mean, I was attempting to bring it back. I was just going to say, like, I think you can have a consistent definition of violence that includes both, like, state violence and, like, non-state actors or whatever. I just think that, I mean, the obvious position would be, like, it's net utility maximizing to allow the state to enforce violence in certain areas, so long as those decisions are made democratically or whatever. But yeah, like, obviously, I think we're meant to be talking about political violence outside the state's monopoly on violence.
Outside of the state, right? That's what we're talking about.
Wait, but
They want to talk about violence within the state.
I agree.
My question serves, which is the president used all of the state's monopoly on violence to pardon violent citizens. Do you feel like that might tacitly endorse violence that happens outside of the system? So that's what I'm trying to say. It's a little bit of a vague position.
Would you say
And
that's
I'm asking, why wouldn't Donald Trump be in some cases endorsing violence? Okay, go ahead.
Would you say it's equivalent to bombing people out of jail that were in riots?
Sorry?
Would you say that's equal or equivalent to bonding people that acted out in riots out of jail?
No.
Bonding? No.
No.
They're not pardoned.
It is
Not even close.
There's still...
Spectrum.
No, it is equal. Hold on.
Lacto, you're a lawyer. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, in the principle that we're trying to appeal to here.
Hold on, you guys are talking over each other. Lactoid, go ahead.
Yeah, and the principle you're trying to appeal to here. So I think deportations are a bad example because it's exclusively state violence. When we're talking about pardoning people who are doing extra legal violence or bailing people out who are doing extra legal violence, in both of those situations, you're using a legal mechanism to tacitly support an illegal action. So I'm open to that being different. I'm open to that being sort of a tacit endorsement of illegal kind of political violence, the kind that we're here in this panel to talk about, as opposed to like deportations. And so if you want to talk about like the pardons from Trump, that's a fair thing to bring up. I also think it's fair for Gibbs to bring up the bailing out of violent rioters out of jail. I think that's also relevant to bring up. Yeah.
Does someone getting out on bail have say anything about whether or not the thing that they did is bad or good? Does that have any is posting bail?
If you bail somebody out, yeah.
We'll say this when we have prominent Democratic Congresspeople like Maxine Waters saying, no peace, like burn it down, all sorts of crazy shit. And then we have behind the scenes, they're actively bailing people out that committing the riots. That's not only an endorsement, it's like saying it's okay. It's an endorsement of these acts because they're saying, oh, you committed this violent act. Now we're bailing you out. We're fighting for you. And we told you to do it. Like, it's crazy that you're going to sit here and
I want to apologize to Wick.
People out.
Yeah, there was a bail fund that like
a lawyer.
No, but that doesn't count.
$5. I will not interrupt my money. All you will shut the fuck up for my money. Okay, $5 from Audacity. To say pardons are not a decree of guilt or endorsement from the executive office. Their operations of mercy. We'll get into that. But the question is, if a lawyer defends a client, is that an endorsement of that client's actions?
No, but that's different than a pardon or bailing somebody out.
I would say pardoning.
I have bailed out my uncle, who I know did it. I don't approve of what he did, but I still bailed him out.
Well, hold on. Yes, and Biden bailed out his son. But we're looking at the motivation. This is different. If you have a bail fund, if you have a bail, I know, that's what I said. If you have a bail fund that is specifically bailing out, if you have a bail, I said it's different.
Just go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. If you have a bail fund that is specifically targeting like for political reasons, people to bail out, or you're specifically pardoning people who like aren't your family for political reasons, I think you can make a very strong argument that this is political endorsement of violence to some extent. Absolutely.
There's a massive difference between posting bail and pardoning someone, and that is when you post someone's bail, they start.
This is a ridiculous contortion of logic to allow Lactoid to be technically correct. This is not.
If I told you,
this is again not. It doesn't survive the touch grass test.
I'll bail you out. This is an endorsement. 100%.
But there are degrees to this.
You still have to go to trial,
there are.
Right?
Sure, there are.
You still have to get charged with the crime.
But a pardon is.
I think Gibbs is fine to bring this up. Is what I said. That was my initial point.
I'm saying the reason why it isn't analogous is because of the difference between bail and pardons.
Well, I would say,
it's analogous in the principle. It is a legal mechanism to endorse a extra legal action, in this case, violence.
I think it's much worse. I think there's two other aspects we're not factoring here. One, we have active Congress people calling for the violence, like arguably calling for it, right? Then we have the bail fund that's sponsored by them. So it seems like it's an endorsement of violence. Finally, we just had the other day them basically assault an ICE facility. It was a mayor and a congressperson assaulted, and the mayor got arrested. Now, what this is telling me is that sitting official party members are actively engaging in the violence and now are advocating to do this further. This is a problem. Our sitting party members are advocating for the violence. And then we have 55% of people under a certain age are saying, hey, let's assassinate the leader of our country. Yeah, I got to say, it's fundamentally and structurally and function. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word. Doesn't matter. It's within all the Democratic Party, and it's just terrible to see.
Part of the
you can't even deny it.
I think that I just want to point out real quick that Lactoid was all ass-pained about inconsistent definitions and nebulous definitions, and then he broke apart the definition of and contorted the definition of like endorsement to the point that he could wrap it around whatever argument he needed to. So like either you need a consistent definition or you don't, like, or you could just concede to the true logic that all of them are pretty nebulous depending on the conversation.
This is ridiculous, and I don't even know if anybody else on the panel would agree with that, even people on your side. I applied this to pardons that Trump did, and I applied
you said it was a legal mechanism tied to a criminal action. That's what you called an endorsement.
It's a legal mechanism that you're using, because Saxons is talking about how pardons are legal, and they are, right? The president has wide authority and discretion to use pardons.
Sure.
But if you're using something that you have a legal right to do to for political, like to target people who've done political violence, to like get them away from some responsibility for their actions, in one case a pardon, in the other case a bail, right, getting them out of prison or out of jail. Like this is absolutely it's like the same principle.
So you do agree then that Donald Trump? Wait. So you do agree then that Donald Trump endorsed the violence of the January 6th rioters that he sent there to stop the vote? No, not to some extent. That he endorsed them, because you would not give the same nuance to a Democrat. I'm asking you, do you say he endorsed them? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I'm giving the exact same definition for both. To some extent, for both
yes or no?
The bail fund and for both the pardon.
Not to some extent. Like, we need to start grounding out some of these positions here. I don't like how ass-paying you are about nebulousness, and then you refuse to give a solid answer on anything.
JC, do you think that like physically assaulting a guard outside an ICE facility as a sitting mayor is more violent than saying words at a speech?
Well, who's saying the words and who's he saying them to? And is there a likelihood that those words could incite a violent riot?
Well, considering a riot did start after the mayor, was fighting these, guards. Yeah, I think that they're equivalent.
Wait, they started because he was fighting the guards?
One of them is saying, "Hey, let's fight them at the ballot box." The other guy's over here saying, "Hey, let's fight the guards, and I'm actively going to lead the riot." You tell me which is a worse thing for you.
Can you? Oh, you know what, Gibbs? Wait, real quick, Gibbs. I will tell you that when you find the citation from Trump's lip speech where he said, "We're going to fight them at the ballot box, and we're going to fight them in the elections."
Election? What do you mean it's fighting at the ballot box? It was 2 months after.
Peaceful. He said peaceful and patriotic.
Peaceful.
Oh my God! Yeah, he said that one fucking time. Oh my God! This is so stupid.
Are we defining peaceful as violence now?
We're giving the mic. What we're doing right now.
I don't know. Taxes are peaceful as long as you pay them.
Right now, and I will mute the fuck out of all of you. Is we're giving the mic to Nonfon, who's been very courteous and gracious and wants to talk now. So I'm rewarding him by giving him the mic.
Obviously, I would hope we'd acknowledge if it was the case that Trump wanted to incite violence, even if that itself is not like a violent action. If he wanted to incite violence, that would be worse than what we just saw with the ICE deportation centers, because they were trying to overturn the election.
It could be. We'd have to know what he actually intended.
Oh my God! Answer a question.
No. That's why it said.
It could be is an answer.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I'm saying is, do we not have enough evidence to make a judgment on that, publicly?
No, I don't think the evidence shows that Donald Trump.
How many 60+ court cases that he lost? You still don't think we have enough?
I don't think he wanted the crowd to go attack the Capitol. What does he gain from that? He didn't gain.
He gains a delay to the election so he can call the state senators and state reps that he needed to overturn the votes and legislate.
And why was
for what?
Pointing to that direction?
You know what?
Pointed the direction.
No, hold on. Why was he? Why was he mad at
putting
Mike
together
Pence?
a protest? Yeah, but he was mad at.
Why was he mad at Mike Pence?
That's a great question. Why?
Yeah, he was mad at Mike Pence because he was advised by John Eastman that he believed there was some kind of legal mechanism in which this could be sent back to the representatives, and either through delay or potentially even have the representatives just elect him directly. And he thought that Mike Pence was the one.
Nothing about the false electors.
And
that's
part of the Eastman memo. Okay.
January 6th, what violence has happened since then from the right? Like, what significant violence? Like, okay, let's just grant everything they're saying is true.
What?
January 6th,
wait,
is a terrible thing. But hold on, let's just grant it. Let's just for funsies. Hold on, play my game here. Let's just say everything they're saying is true. You know, it's been pretty chill. I didn't see $20 billion BLM happen before January 6th. I didn't see $20 billion of potential long-term damage caused by anybody from January 6th. I don't see long-term effects where Republicans are destroying, Mitsubishi cars like this, like they are with Tesla. I didn't see us try to assassinate Biden. I didn't see anybody try to do that.
No, I saw you guys try to assassinate Trump.
Do you know why? Hold on. Do you know why the Republicans were so quiet during Biden's term? Because he was a good president and he didn't actually do anything bad. It was because he didn't actually.
Yeah. Can I quote Trump?
He didn't see the worst president since.
Before I give it to Staxium to respond, I'm going to read these two super chats because I like money and money is more important than all of you. Okay, $10 from Alexander Wren to say this. Now I see the right doesn't commit much violence as we just don't call what they do violence, except in technicality.
True.
That doesn't really count, right?
That's the point they tried to make. Paying taxes wasn't violence.
$5 from
What?
the same individual, Alexander Wren, to say, is Lactoid arguing that bail releases people from the consequences of their actions? Also, you missed my earlier super chat. No, I just...
The same way pardons do, yeah.
Oh
no, because... Okay,
what? No.
That is not...
I want you as my lawyer, Saul Goodman.
Yeah, literally. Okay, Martin.
Wait, hold on. Can I just quote Trump for 2 seconds? I just want to say a couple things that Trump said. Trump, so on January 6th, says he will never concede. He calls for his supporters to walk down to... Stop. Excuse me. If you talk over me, I'm just going to... Hey, I'm talking.
Dude hasn't talked all night. Shut up.
Hold on, everyone. Let Stack Teams go. Stack.
Give me 10 seconds. They said to walk down the Capitol to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. He told the crowd that we cannot let that happen. When warned that his supporters had several weapons, Trump responded, and I quote, "I don't fucking care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. They're not here to hurt me. Take the fucking mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here. Let the people in and take the mags away." That is a little bit fucking different than what Lactoid was describing.
You're leaving out a lot of context.
Correct. He also said to be peaceful.
Yeah, you guys literally quote one line from the speech. You want to lecture us about context? It's all just conservatives pearl clutching and lecturing the left on how they ought to act.
You didn't respond to anything I said, though. This is what's interesting. Is I said let's grant.
This is not going to be interesting.
I said let's grant them everything they want with January 6th, and that's fine. And they wouldn't even grant them because that's the only thing you have. Like at the large scale, the Dems are doing all these things.
That's the only thing I need.
One thing they have.
The win. Hold on.
The only thing I need.
That is not the only thing we have.
Almost always done by far-right people or
Yeah, thank you, Anonfon. Thank you. That is not the only thing we have, Gibbs. Stop.
That's what's crazy. It
is not. It's not just because you say it is, bro. I'm sorry.
Listen, I'm sorry. You're wrong. This is the only.
Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, well, he said so, you know.
If you finish, you would find out why I'm wrong instead of cutting me off like a dumbass and argue with half a point. But listen, it's real simple. I'm saying this is the only thing you have at a semi-large scale, regardless, that's of any relevance.
That's not true either.
Stop talking. It's the only thing you can point to other than isolated, like small incidents, like small.
Other than the other stuff.
But that you don't have. But when I can point to mass things on a mass scale, when 2 in 5 people nationwide, that's one BLM. 2 in 5 people nationwide that own a Tesla. That's over 12 states. That's crazy.
Vandalism.
Vandalism. Oh yeah. That's not violence.
Mass shootings, vandalism. They're basically the same thing as long as the left does the vandalism. You know. Yeah, exactly. Non-fun. Yeah, school shootings. Who cares about them, right? Kids, fuck them.
Hold on. I think we could all just agree that the firebombing of the Teslas was violent.
Oh, okay, I have an assassination tip.
Can we agree with that?
But
wait. Can we?
I'm trying to figure this out. Because genuinely, wait, hold on. I thought Lactoid's definition of violence was that it needed to inflict harm onto another person.
True.
And we're here to get the facts of definitions.
That was Gibbs' definition, first of all. And second,
what is your definition?
Hold on. You don't think destroying somebody's property is not harming them?
It's harmful.
Sorry? So destroying people's property is a way to harm people?
Destroying somebody's property harms them.
So if I walk on someone's lawn, that's violence?
Hold on. If you're not home, Stax,
are you destroying it?
And I burn your house down?
I could be.
Hey, yes, if they're walking on their lawn of how consistent.
If you just destroy my lawn, it could be violence.
I really like this Staxium dude. I don't even know if he's I feel like he's a Vosh technique, but God, he's really funny.
And I burn your house down. Is that cause you harm?
I don't subscribe to exact definitions, so yes, I would say that's harm. That's fine.
Oh, so good. Then bombing a fucking Tesla dealership is violence and it's harmful to people.
I'd be fine with conceding that, but I'm saying that goes against your guys' definition.
Just real quick, because I'm not sure how many Teslas have been firebombed.
Oh, at least one.
Oh, awesome.
Oh God! How many people support it? That's what we're looking at, right? So, like for example, I'll explain. So, when you have one like healthcare exec get shot in the head, like only one you can point to. But when you have 41% of young voters cheering it on and loving it, this is a big fucking problem.
Oh wow, that's what the debate was supposed to be about. We found it.
And say, they're isolated, separate incidents, but we see.
Saying a lot of people support it,
but to say people support both. Hey, well, I guess they're different though.
Well, I don't know. If I asked Lactoid whether or not he'd support it or not, he'd say, well, I could support it,
then you want to support
and I could not.
Ask, hey, Lactoid, you're conservative. Do you support school shootings? No.
I could support them.
Thinks you don't.
It's
okay,
crazy.
Great. Can I go?
Depends on the circumstances.
Test the dealerships.
Okay, I want to clarify a couple things. First off, I do not support firebombing Tesla vehicles at all. I would prefer to live in a world wherein 0 vehicles got destroyed. However, we also have to balance that with the fact that basically about 150,000 people lost their jobs unilaterally from one person, one billionaire, and the fact that stop.
That's funny to you, I guess.
Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Biden fired all the oil people. That's right.
I'd love for you to respond. I'd love for you to respond.
Finish his point.
The fact that, as far as I could see, around a dozen Tesla vehicles got destroyed, where it's maybe $1 million worth of damages. That's fairly reasonable when it comes to political responses to such a wide enacting policy, especially that it's done so top down and from one specific person.
Lactoid are the terrorist political violence.
Yeah. So when Biden told oil workers they could just find other jobs, and it was well over 150 people. Yeah, thanks. I guess you're right. I agree. I guess those.
That's not unilaterally done by one person. It's easier to target.
It was unilaterally.
Wasn't unilaterally done by Elon.
It was unilaterally done by Biden, and so all those guys could have been violent. But guess what? They didn't act of violence. No oil worker tried to assassinate Biden. How many did? Can you tell me? How many oil workers blew up?
How many people have attempted to assassinate Elon? I don't get it.
I'm asking because no oil worker.
We don't know technically. We don't know. We just don't know how many publicly.
Biden versus 55% approve of assassinating these people and approve of firebombing.
Well, since it's non-falsifiable, because we don't know unless it's made public, I'm going to say 1 billion people tried to assassinate Biden and failed.
There was 2 attempts on Joe Biden's life. One on August 9th,
was a little off.
2023. Craig DeLua, a 74-year-old resident of Provo, Utah, threatened to assassinate
a 74-year-old.
24. And then on May 22nd, 2023, a 19-year-old man from Chesterfield, Missouri, drove a rented box truck onto a barrier that separated the White House grounds from the public. Shortly thereafter, was taken into custody and admitted he was there to kill the president.
Gibbs, where did your goalpost go?
Wait, hold on. This is the goalpost they asked, because this is your goalpost. You said all those people lost jobs. They were justified in violence. And I'm asking Wick, were either one of those 2 people oil workers?
You didn't ask who when firebombing the Teslas, who people lost their jobs. You didn't double check to see if there were federal employees who lost it during Doge. You didn't do that groundwork when it comes to liberals attacking Tesla. But when it comes to attacks on the vice president, on the president of the United States, then you got to double check. Wait a minute, who exactly
are you implying that the government cutting jobs could somehow justify violence?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. That's not even a little bit what I'm saying. I don't think that's what it is.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to bring that up whatsoever in the firebombing of Teslas.
Okay, $5.
Explain.
Hold on.
Why
did you bring up those during Teslas?
Money time. Shut up. It's money time. $5 from Audacity to say Shapiro could win in 2028 and we'll still be litigating January 6th on these shows. Trump got back into the office. You lost. Get over it. And then $10 from Andrew Steele to say the kid in the middle, brown sweater, is the worst of the left, a total moron. Clueless. He paid me $10.
Hey, this is a brown sweater too, so we don't know who they're talking about.
He paid me $10 to say this. I'm going to say it. He says a total moron, clueless to any points, just repeating BS he heard to reinforce the same BS he heard. A cycle of morons. It's sick.
Can I address one of those super chats?
Can I respond to the super chat?
Any of these
Can we respond to those?
$10 and I will.
Can I respond to the super chat?
Yeah, he was kind of responding.
We're all just relitigating things that we've heard. We don't come out of the when we come out of the womb. We don't have these opinions. They're formed by news articles that we read. What a stupid thing to say. Anyway, continue.
Also, I will never not be mad about
the government violating the Constitution could justify violence.
Yeah, it could justify it. Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, right. So I think the allegation,
JC, do you agree?
A lot of Doge stuff is that not just that they're firing people, but just that they're doing it unilaterally through the executive.
I don't. And we talked about.
You might not believe the allegation.
My definition of violence is nebulous, so I don't know if I agree or not. I could agree.
Real quick, non-fun. I understand. I don't believe it. But like the truth of it matters in the same way that like if the election actually was stolen, then January 6th is very different than the election not being stolen. You would agree.
Well, I agree with that. I just think liberals are obviously on much better footing for believing that Trump's actions are really. You think it's more? Hold on, Lactoid. You have to agree that you think it's more likely that Trump is in violation of the Constitution for some of the Doge stuff than it is that the 2020 election was stolen.
So I think it is indisputably true that the 2020 election. In multiple states, it was found that they did shit wrong. Do I think it was like there was some kind of conspiracy or that it was stolen? No. But it has since been the case that they did violate the law when it comes to those voting
let's just
not come to from fraud, right? But if somebody breaks the rules, like if I'm playing chess and I break the rules, even if I still lose, that's still bad, right? That's still enough to potentially relitigate the whole game.
No, if you win, it's good. As long as your name's Donald Trump.
Your point a little further, though. Let's go a little further, right? We've just had all this cancer stuff come out about Biden. We've heard her audio leak now, and clearly the guy was just the corpse keeper, like literally a puppet. That's all he was. And so now we're sitting here going, hey, do we think that any of this shit should have been doing? And they're turning to fucking George Lucas and the puppeteers behind Industrial Light and Magic, and got Yoda over here. They're just moving his hands and signing executive orders and pardons willy-nilly with AutoPen. And hey, do I think after being lied to about this for the last 2 years that maybe there could have been a conspiracy they covered up? I don't know, but I do got some fucking questions about what should have been done that's unconstitutional. So when y'all are going, oh, Doge is doing unconstitutional shit, I'm going, well, for the last 2 years we've seen a lot of unconstitutional shit, and now we've been proven right that they were just puppeting this guy. And oh, hey, I didn't see anybody going out crazy violence like they're doing now. Like, how do you say that these are not equivalent nonviolent?
You know, I'll say this for Joe Biden's handlers. They never tweeted out this could allow for any action could allow for the suspension of the Constitution. They never had any chiefs staff or anything saying we might suspend habeas corpus to deport illegal immigrants.
Well, for one, I mean, I just don't, as much as Biden is an old fucking demented man or whatever with cancer now.
Hey,
I mean, I just don't believe that he was so entirely clueless that the deep state was just auto pen signaturing everything for him. He probably did mostly direct things, but I'm not convinced to the extent the allegations are true that they're really unconstitutional unless the 25th Amendment was invoked. And I guess I just don't
I don't know about that.
Also, just have a quick question.
Yeah.
You said you agreed that it would be justified if there was blatant violations of the Constitution, right?
It could be. Depends what the violations are.
It could be, depending. Yes. So do you think then, in the current situation of events, that the left has more justification than previously for violations of the Constitution?
The left has more justifications to violate the Constitution, or more justifications?
No, for violence. They have more justifications for violence that because of all the violations of the Constitution that Trump is doing right now.
I'll say this. I don't think Trump is violating the Constitution right now.
At all.
Now.
I mean, if we can give me an example, we can go through it. I think that if January 6th was successful, I think the left would have had a very strong justification for violence.
What? Okay. So exactly. So I think that point right there is why the left's violence right now is overblown, because there is cases of violence that are completely denounced and don't think that we should be
give us an example
endorsing
it. Please hold on.
Yes.
Potts, can two questions for you. One, can you give me an example of violence from the left that you do endorse? And two, can you tell us so maybe we can actually
keep that TOS though.
Fed posting,
right? Can you keep it TOS, please. Can you please tell us where you think that Trump, in your opinion, is violating the Constitution? And before you answer that, $20 from Alexander Wren to say, how the F did we gloss over a lawyer arguing that making bail and getting a presidential pardon is the same? Also,
true!
Yes.
Monopoly on political
All
violence.
you would fail in LSAT. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Okay, sure, buddy.
Pilot is to plane as driver is to blank, but a car's not a plane. Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? If the LSAT teaches lawyers to disingenuously argue for Trump, college education is sucky.
Shut up. We're giving the mic to Potts because I asked Potts 2 questions. I'm going to give him a chance to answer those questions. Go ahead.
First answer to the question. The first question, there are no examples, at least I can think of in recent memory. I'm only 24 years old, so I don't have that many memories of any left-wing violence I would endorse. I can't imagine any left-wing violence that I would endorse, at least currently now.
You did just argue that in your opinion, that left-wing violence is more justified than right-wing violence?
Yeah, I would say that so the prompt from the debate is left-wing violence overblown. And I think that there is some, I don't ignore that there are examples of left-wing violence. I don't think there's justification for it, and I would never do it, and I wouldn't endorse it, nor would I encourage it. However, I'm saying that, saying that it's like out of the blue or like crazy when there are plenty of examples, which I'll get to when I answer the next question, of Donald Trump violating the Constitution, then like that is a reason they can give as justification if he agrees that justification for violence would be certain violations of the Constitution.
Give us the Constitution violations. Give us a top 3.
Top 3 is 1 is going to be the violation of the Article 2's Congress, yes? Article 2's Congress, yeah? No, Article 2 is executive. Article 1 is
the
Congress,
executive branch.
Yes, so Article 1 powers from Doge trying to completely withhold federal funding after it was already appropriated by Congress. The deportations, completely violating trying to justify it with the Electoral Count Act, or not electoral, sorry,
Alien Enemies Act?
Yes, Alien Enemies Act,
okay.
As well as third one.
If you only got 2, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry, I'm blanking because sorry. Yeah,
don't be nervous. It's okay.
Yeah,
you're just in front of hundreds of viewers right now, literally.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. No, it's okay. So I will let Lactoid and Gibbs respond to that, and then we'll continue on.
I mean, let's let the lawyer go first. No,
okay. I mean, I think that under the Empowerment Act, the executive absolutely had the ability to do what it was doing under Doge. There's a reason why, like, that's not even being talked about anymore. There's a reason why, like, you're not seeing the Supreme Court like holding the executive in contempt or like following through with any kind of like limitation on this, because they were actually fairly limited in what they did, and Doge is already winding down anyway. When it comes to the deportations, the Supreme Court just ruled the president does get to use the Enemy Aliens Act in order to do what they're doing. They just have to give more due process, and that was the Supreme Court. They just ruled that, and Trump has said that he's going to follow what the Supreme Court says. So
this time around.
Yeah, because he likes this one.
Wait. When is he overt? Like, when does he disobey the Supreme Court?
We're obviously referring to the 9-0 decision for Garcia. Yeah.
Hold on.
That's obviously what we're referring to.
He violated the Supreme Court?
If you say that, I swear to God, if you say the word facilitate, I'm going to explode.
You want to talk about this case?
No, I don't. No, I really don't.
No, you don't. You don't want to talk about that case for a second, right?
No, because the conservative arguments for it are retarded, and I don't really feel like wasting a bunch of time on that. Again, I don't feel any need to have conservatives lecture to the left on their levels of violence. Wick, I apologize. Wick,
you want to bring it up, but you don't want to spend any time on it, right? Because
yes, because you'll just own me, Lactoid. Yep, you got me. Yep, 100%.
Because the Supreme Court, like, coming down with a decision is the same thing as the executive, disobeying a court decision? Is there what evidence do you have?
So I just want to apologize to Wick because I definitely misunderstood the prompt for this panel. If the prompt truly is the right overblowing left-wing violence, the right shouldn't even have a right to comment on it when they dance circles around taking accountability for the violence on January 6th by spamming "be peaceful" over and over again. That's my real thesis. That's my real position.
Hold on, JC.
This is a dodge because Wick asked the specific question, and right now we're talking specifically about violations of the Constitution because there was a question as to what could potentially justify violence. The examples that were brought up, I am trying to explore.
You said January 6th if it was successful, right? That was one of them.
We spent a tremendous amount of time on January 6th. The 2 examples that were brought up were Doge and the deportations. Specifically with the deportations, you guys said that Trump disobeyed the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found 9-0 that Trump disobeyed them. And I want to know in what
that's
way
not what
did he
was
disobey
said.
them.
At all.
No, it's 9-0 they disobeyed him. It's 9-0.
He didn't disobey them.
Well, what's crazy is
you said that he disobeyed the Supreme Court.
Hold on. Okay. You got to let them respond. So Lactoid asked a specific question. Staxiums, and then non-fon, and then pots. I'll let.
Wait. Can you repeat my question for them? Because maybe then they can't.
Let me get it after pots.
Repeat.
I'm responding to you
because I don't want to mess it up. Go ahead.
Okay. Very specifically, you guys said that Trump disobeyed the Supreme Court because I said he's going to listen to the Supreme Court.
At what point did he disobey the Supreme Court?
Yes, and I said at what time, and you guys said the 9-0. In that decision, where did he disobey the Supreme Court?
Okay, let me be clear for the panel, okay? I am not saying in the 9-0 Supreme Court case that they determined that Trump disobeyed
this is
them.
all, Lactoid is
no, instead, in the 9-0 support case...
I swear. It's so bad.
Keep going!
In the 9-0 SCOTUS case, they said that
faith.
Trump basically needed to use his executive ability to bring back Garcia. However, Trump made explicitly clear that he wasn't going to abide by that decision.
Hold on. You're fundamentally misunderstanding this case. They said he had to facilitate, not effectuate. And this is important because the distinction is critically important here.
I'm gonna Roblox myself.
Well, this is part of the problem when you bring up shit that, I'm sorry, you just don't know as much. You can't point to it.
It's not that we don't know as much. It's that you have the ultimate disingenuous bullshit-ass arguments to counter anything we say.
It's critically important, and I'll explain why.
Oh, okay, sure.
The way
It's
Supreme
critically
Court's decision
important.
worked is that the original decision, not the Supreme Court's decision, back in I believe it was a federal district court, yes, said that they had to facilitate and effectuate the return. It went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, okay, we're going to use facilitate, but this word effectuate, this needs to be further defined by the lower courts. They sent it back. The lower court said, okay, we're going to cut that off because
they removed effectuate.
Yes, because they were like, if they agree with us on facilitate, we're just going to go full ham on that. Then they send it back. Now Donald Trump is not facilitating at all. They're doing nothing.
No. He is facilitating. They've made a plane available in the event that El Salvador chooses to release Garcia.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Why aren't we telling them to bring him back?
I'll explain. So there's a lot of Supreme Court precedent on this. Okay, the courts cannot dictate that the president negotiates a certain way with foreign leaders. In the same way.
Sure. No. I understand that. Why are we prioritizing Andrew Tate?
Hold on.
Over someone the White House fucked up on and shouldn't have deported.
Before we move on to Andrew Tate for a second.
No, just answer that question. Come on.
I'm in the middle of answering Garcia, and you're bringing up.
You're like a professional tap dancer, dude. Holy shit.
You're bringing up Andrew Tate, tap dancing.
Yeah, as a direct comparison, you're going to say some bullshit about how it's not the Supreme Court's jurisdiction to tell the president how to negotiate with foreign leaders. Well, he had plenty of, no issue whatsoever negotiating with the leaders in Romania, getting Andrew Tate over here, but he can't get back an immigrant that he sent over there illegally.
The president has the ability to negotiate with foreign leaders. The court does not have the authority to order the president to negotiate with foreign leaders. In the same way, the courts cannot order the president to invade a different country. Let me ask you this.
The Fuhrer has the right. The Fuhrer has the power to put people on trains, okay? He just might not know where they're going.
The court does not. This is settled law. Like, there's so many Supreme Court cases about this. The Supreme Court cannot order the president to go and negotiate someone's release with a foreign head of state. You don't get to tell the president to negotiate with a foreign head of state. That's why they ask for a clarification of effectuate.
I agree. We should have no checks on the president whatsoever. No criminal immunity, too, I think.
To go negotiate with a foreign head of state. And the only way to get Garcia out is going to be either negotiate with a foreign head of state or invade El Salvador. And neither of which the court has the authority.
Have they even asked? Donald Trump even actually asked them? Or have they only stated, well, he won't? They've only ever stated, no, we won't. They just won't let us take him. They haven't. Where is the evidence of Donald Trump actually making the request?
Making a request to a foreign head of state is negotiation. The court cannot order him to do that.
The definitions are so nebulous when it's convenient to MAGA, right?
No, this is a legal definition.
Hold on.
Hold on. I do want to, on this case specifically, on facilitate versus effectuate, I'm going to refer to the courts, the appellate courts. It hasn't gone to the Supreme Court yet. But this is what they say on that decision. They say the Supreme Court's decision does not, however, allow the government to do essentially nothing. It requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. And then they say Abrego Garcia supra slip op-ed 2. Facilitate is an active verb. It requires that steps be taken, as the Supreme Court has made perfectly clear. The government should be prepared to share what it can concerning and it cites a case where it says the government should be prepared to share what it can concerning the steps it has taken and the prospect of further steps. The plain and active meaning of the word cannot be diluted by its constriction, as the government would have it, to a narrow term of art. We are not bound in this context by a definition crafted by an administrative agency and contained in a mere policy directive. Thus, the government's argument that all it must do is remove any domestic barriers to Abrego Garcia's return is not well taken in light of the Supreme Court's command that the government facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador. That is what the courts say. How do you respond to that? Is Trump doing that today?
Trump is doing what he can do, given that the only two things that would get Garcia out would be a direct negotiation with El Salvador or invading the country of El Salvador. Neither of which, even if that would be actively facilitating, which in this case, facilitate means to make easier, not actually to effectuate, so it wouldn't be. But if the only two ways to get Garcia out involve ways that the court cannot order the executive to do, then they can talk about how the president needs to like explain what he's doing, and yeah, he can talk about all the piddling shit about how he's making a plane available, about how like if they let him out, we'll go get him, or something along those lines. But the only two things that would actually get Garcia out, they cannot order him to do. So this is just like a
Look,
reason, and it has
I find it funny though that like this is the argument that we're using right here, where it's like, oh, we're gonna go talk about this case where it's like questionable constitutionality. I could point to something that was unconstitutional that was occurring all during the Biden administration, and we didn't have any sort of revolution. We didn't have any car bombings. How about the enforcement of the fucking border? That wasn't enforced at all. There's a constitutional duty.
Disagreeing with an enforcement policy doesn't mean it doesn't exist, Gibbs.
You're wrong.
Not to mention Trump shooting down that bill in the Senate is a losing point, but we can do it if you want.
No,
it's basically a pardon if you think about it.
Let's do it, JC. I want you to go through with me and tell me at what point in the joint resolution of 1843 or 1844, when Texas joined the Union, after we fought 2 wars with Mexico, and they agreed upon security enforcement along the Rio Grande, can you tell me at what point that was being upheld by the Biden administration? And you can't do that. Why don't you pop my dick in your mouth and stop talking? And
so was Customs and Border Patrol... Wait. I was asked a direct question by a very loud asshole, okay? I think I have a chance to respond.
You're just wrong. You're wrong.
Oh, I don't? Okay, so you get to tell me I'm wrong, but I don't get to respond. Okay, I understand. This isn't your show, Gibbs.
You're gonna get insulted. Cool, I understand that, but you interrupted me, so you're gonna get insulted for being stupid when you say something stupid. It's historically, it's in the Constitution. We have treaties with states joining. How can you argue that, they were enforcing the border properly? Go ahead.
Super easily. Was CBP disbanded under Biden?
Do you know what CBP stands for?
Customs and Border Patrol, does it not?
I'm asking him.
Oh, I'm
God,
sorry.
you let him out. The fuck.
No. What does that do?
What does that have to do with it? And do you not think that
Wait, Gibbs, yes or no? Yes or no? You're all ass mad. You're calling me an idiot. I asked you a very simple question. You're so smart on this topic. You read so much more than me, clearly. I mean, if you're calling me a dumbass. Obviously you should know. Was CBP, was Customs and Border Patrol disbanded under Biden?
I will answer that. Let me answer that. It doesn't matter if they were or not, if they don't enforce the laws of the land. So whenever they're taking immigrants...
So they didn't detain immigrants? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they just released them free, willy-nilly. We know that. Just like Garcia here, who was supposed to have already... Hold on. Garcia had been filled his due process in this case. He was one of the ones released after they'd already told him he had to go. And then guess what? Since he wasn't kicked out. Yeah, it was Biden. Guess who they did? They deported him when they were supposed to?
His trial was in 2019. Who was president then?
Was it
yes.
Wick?
Took Trump 4 fucking years to deport the duty.
Hold on. His trial was in 2019.
My president.
You think this is a dunk? Hold on. And they had 90 days.
Gibbs, I don't need to say anything to dunk. I just let you keep talking.
At 2019, not Biden.
No.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? The entire year of 2020, it was Donald Trump who was president.
Oh, so whenever the entire year was up, when the 90 days was up, and they chose not to take him, who was president?
Who was president?
Yeah, so and who was president in 2020?
Donald J. Trump.
Gibbs, you're the one that doesn't know. You shouldn't be asking people. That's not how that works. You're the one who doesn't know.
The election happened in November of 2020, and then he doesn't become president until 2021.
Sure.
Huh?
Sure. Why would you have to dismantle an entire government agency in order to... what Gibbs is saying is that he wasn't enforcing the law in such a way, and it's like leading to...
Hold on, that's not clearly and unambiguously constitutional.
It's unambiguously constitutional.
It is if you're a delusional Texan who thinks you still get to be sovereign despite being one of 50 states.
Hey, that's a good one.
Pardoning is also not unconstitutional.
You're not a sovereign nation. You are a state. Deal with it.
Hold on.
Your southern border is my southern border, too.
Illegal immigrants might be any violence.
Do you realize you have to uphold a treaty or resolution? Do you agree with that?
I'm not answering any question when you're just going to respond with, well, that doesn't matter.
$20 from Alexander Wren. And then I have a statement, and we'll just go back to it. $20 from Alexander Wren to say, my point about who has a monopoly on government violence is that the party in power doesn't need to use social violence to protest or fight against political violence under Trump. Of course, reps don't need to be socially violent. Thank you for the $20. I appreciate that. Since you thought Biden was president in 2020, I wonder how much you hate Biden for that Trump actually did.
True.
Yeah, good one. Good one.
Josh, I'm curious.
Well, hold on, Wick. Remember, the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the
Who do you
Biden
think
economy.
was president during the lockdowns?
Who do I think was president during the
True.
lockdowns?
Biden was president during a lot of them.
Trump.
Biden was president during lockdown.
Both Trump and Biden, right? Biden extended them.
It was both. Was it correct? Is that correct?
Black
Was it
Toy,
both?
quit
It
helping.
started with Trump
What
and
Biden
ended
did
under
was
Biden?
lockdowns. Biden was going for vaccine mandates. What Trump did.
There was vaccine mandates and lockdowns under both, or not vaccine mandates under Trump, but there was vaccine mandates and lockdowns under Biden.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lockdowns extended into Biden's presidency. Of course they did.
Yeah, they both had both.
Okay.
Some states started fighting back.
Federal lockdown?
Yeah. Shit started opening up. Shit started opening up.
One at all?
Not everything opened up all at once. Like shit was continued. There was. I mean, Biden had extended a lot of the aid and extended a lot of the lockdowns, and the Democrats did going into his presidency.
It's even occurred. Am I stupid? I don't think a federal lockdown occurred.
The U.S.
I think it was
shutdown for
state by
COVID
state.
was in March 15th of 2020.
No. But what is a shutdown? Like from the federal government? Like, are you saying the federal government ordered local businesses to shut down, or that like DC started disbanding, or like I don't understand exactly what you mean by a federal lockdown? Because
there was local like closings of small business.
I lived in Utah. Like basically nothing happened here.
Okay, so there was like local lockdowns for sure, but of course the federal government was involved in like certain restrictions, lockdowns of certain like federal industries. Federal workers. Sure. There's all sorts of things that the federal government was involved in.
I see. For federal workers, I understand.
Right. Hold on. I'm so curious.
I just don't know what the claim was.
Just give it.
What was the thing you were trying to say in the 1843 agreement between Texas and the U.S.? Can you repeat
joint
that?
resolution?
Yeah.
It's a joint resolution.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Cripps.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the
Even
agreement,
Slippery
Texas
Lactoid won't give you that one.
We sold land because Texas had fought 2 wars with Mexico, one of them over the boundary between the Oasis and the Rio Grande, right? And that became the southern border, right? And when we came in, we were guaranteed part of it was our safety and security, right? Yes, there's a whole big giant thing. And then the southern states wanted their agreement because they wanted another slave state, and the northern states wanted their own agreement. And they had all these different compromises, and we sold land to pay off the debt. And they bought these, and it became different undisputed territories. Is this all striking a bell? Do you remember our U.S. history? Yes, guys? No?
Well, that part I'm familiar with, sure.
Okay, cool. And part of that was guess what, shape of Texas. And then one of the reasons we fought what war, the Mexican-American War, was because what? That Zachary Taylor and all them, they were sit down. Why were they sit down then? Do we know why that war started?
I'm going to pull you, Gibbs. It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
It does matter. Well,
no, it doesn't matter.
Because the reason why the war was started
doesn't even matter.
Because they were violating the Rio Grande as the border. And guess what? Oh, we went and fought a whole fucking war with Mexico over it. Now we're having round 2, and y'all are like, oh, it's not constitutional.
Okay.
It's hold on.
Even if this let non-fun respond to that, because I'm not. I'm just going to confess to you all. I don't know anything about the War of 1843. I just don't. So go ahead, Mom.
Yeah,
it's not a war then.
Even if this whatever agreement between Texas and the U.S. is still legally binding or whatever, which I kind of doubt. Notice how you're talking about war. You're talking about the border, securing, the border as in stopping Mexican troops from coming over to Rio Grande and not a violation.
You also know Pancho Villa. Pancho Villa wasn't Mexican troops. He was just a raider. And another problem was why we had to send Texas Rangers in there. Was because guess what? They were violating the Rio Grande as the border again, and they were violating the New Mexico territories. Same thing. They were crossing with impunity. We had to enforce the U.S. border, and that's banned.
Maybe it's time to let
we pull this back a little bit.
Do you think Pancho Villa is equivalent to a cartel today? I mean, hold on. Do you think Pancho Villa is not equivalent to a cartel today? He's an organized crime group, basically, right? I would say that's similar to a cartel. And if we're sending people in and representatives of U.S. law enforcement and military to go and stop them because they're violating the border, that would indicate we have a historical legal precedent that we should be fucking enforcing the border, which Biden was choosing not to do.
I'm not sure he's similar to a cartel. I don't know. I'd have to read more.
Can we pull this back a little bit? Because the main claim that Gibbs was saying is that Trump isn't being unambiguously unconstitutional. Biden was with his lack of enforcement of the border. That is not unambiguously unconstitutional.
Oh, wow.
That is not. Hold on.
I define it as it was unambiguous.
That is not like legal scholars don't have a consensus on this. Okay. That's your opinion. That's fine. Okay, I mean it's stupid, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's nebulous at all. We were saying this earlier. If it's how we define things, well, if we're doing that, then I'm defining it as unambiguously unconstitutional. I mean, by everything we know here. So, like, do you see how the problem is earlier with the whole it's a spectrum argument works now?
Yeah, the problem is
Not
then
even a
you
little
guys
bit.
started to do that, and we made fun of you for doing that. That's the problem with what you're doing now. You're acting all indignant. You were doing the same thing not that long ago.
No, JC. We have been very consistent the whole time. What we have.
Oh,
standards,
my
we
bad.
have
I'm sorry. I must have been in a different room this whole time.
Can I ask you,
have
do you
been.
think if the president does something that the Supreme Court stops him from doing because it was like deemed to be against the law or unconstitutional, would you consider that to be like an unconstitutional act by the president if he heeds the Supreme Court?
Not necessarily.
Are we talking about student loan forgiveness? Is that what we're
We're talking about a whole bunch of things that we can go into if they were bad enough to say yes, but they said no, so we'll leave that alone.
Lactoid, do you think that President Biden unambiguously, unconstitutionally did not uphold border policy?
No, the president, the executive has tremendous amounts of discretion when it comes to the border. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you. All right.
Okay. $5 from Audacity, then we'll get back into it. Hey, we have to correct the record here on something I feel requires rectification. Stax' sweater is very nice, and it looks good on him.
Aw.
Thank you.
For the $5. Again,
That's
$10
so
It looks
sweet.
cozy.
$5 to compliment.
It's so nice.
Okay.
Very warm.
I do want to kind of really, or try to at least, reground this discussion for the last quarter of it. In what ways do you think that the left-wing rhetoric... I'll just ask it this way. Does the mainstream left-wing rhetoric condone, celebrate, or even permit violent acts? Why or why not?
Could I say, look, I'm going to make a concession that I hope everyone on my side will agree with. The online left is fucking insane, okay? And the way that they condoned Luigi and the killing of Brian Thompson, I think his name was fucking bonkers.
Luigi
okay?
was not just the online left.
What do you mean?
Well, yeah, so
Luigi
I would
was
agree with
not.
that,
What do
but
you
again,
mean?
do
Yeah,
also think
I mean
there-
what I said.
I do.
No,
think
no,
a
I
lot
don't
of it
understand.
There's people dressed like Luigi at like protests.
There's
Like, people
broad
like
support.
No, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Like,
But I will say, I think-
systemically, I don't think that there's a single Democratic official who has cheered on what Luigi did.
Sure.
I think that it's fully the citizens. Okay.
Sure, I understand that.
whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
not bad. Yeah.
Well, no,
Sure.
I agree. I just also think, like I said, I said this in my opening. Even I think there are. I think the bigger issue is just anti-establishment people, like insane people on the right who are anti-establishment, also
Now,
support Luigi.
here's the thing. When you have a catch-all party, you're going to have anti-institutionalists in it. You're going to have insane anarchists. And I hope that the best thing that we can do is that all the people with institutional power immediately reject those people. Now, have they done enough? I wouldn't think so. Okay?
Actually-
I think they should really decry them a lot. However, they have clearly decried them at least somewhat, and I have seen absolutely no one endorse their actions. I do not see the same thing on the Republican side, and that is what I think is the biggest issue.
Okay, I'd like to.
Just for the sake of conversation, Stax, can you show me a time where the right or a politician on the right has condoned violent actions on the right? From the right?
Donald Trump pardoning the January 6th
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm just gonna keep quoting.
It's the one.
I'm gonna keep citing. That's the only thing I need.
We have one. You have
We've all gone
0.
over the January 6th stuff,
I mean,
and I'm
hold
not
on.
going to take away from
Fine.
that. But other than that, is there any other example?
Let other people. I don't know if I can think of anything off the top of my head.
I would have to look it up.
I'm
but
thinking of
I feel-
January 6th every time.
No, but I feel like there were some like sort of tacit endorsements of the Club Q shooting, but I don't know if those were from lawmakers.
Wait. What about Paul Pelosi?
Yes.
What about all the mainstream news orgs that were going crazy and like making gay jokes about a congresswoman's
J.
husband
Trump
who had
Jr.
his head almost bashed in? Yeah, Trump even. Yeah.
Donald J. Trump Jr. His son tweeted all of these. He said new Halloween new Halloween costume, and it was underwear and a hammer. Do you think that's fucking? And Donald J. Trump Jr. now has the audacity to look at us to be so critical of Comey tweeting that like 8647 tweet, or Instagram post. Like I the hypocrisy is overwhelming.
Does anyone in here think that the 8647 thing was an actual call to violence?
No.
Not even a little bit.
Not unless
Okay,
unless the
wanna make
Republicans
sure-
are going to concede that the 86-46 was as well, which they won't, obviously.
Now, I do think that maybe I think Comey stumbled on it, and maybe the first one, the person who originally posted it or put it down, might have meant it in like, let's kill this guy. But Comey immediately took it down and went, oh, hold on. If this is violent, I don't endorse it. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. That's bad. He took it down immediately as soon as criticism happened.
Yeah, but I think that what we're missing is, so y'all brought up the online left. Let's talk about not the online left for a second.
Okay.
Right? We had all right. So I'm going to go back all the way to 2017, and then we're going to come back to modern times, right? And do you remember when Trump ran the first time and Kathy Griffin held up a severed head of Trump? Like, that was a big deal, right? It was kind of crazy.
Not a Democratic.
No, it wasn't a big deal.
No,
Also,
hold on. At the time, the response was pretty negative. Now, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm saying that the topic we're having now is whether it's an issue now, right? And I'm saying I feel like we can point to this time period as the initial start. It was shocking at the time, and now that would not even probably be front page news. It might be for like a few hours and something else will happen, right? Now, hold on. Now let's move to today. Just yesterday, I watched an MSNBC host sit here, our news anchor, one of the people on their little pot group show, go on a crazy rant about South African Afrikaners and how they should be purged or sent back to the Netherlands and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then I go on Twitter and I see about 3 more people on MSNBC and CNN and other major news organizations say this. Now, I know they're not Democratic Party officials, but I will say they are big talking people in the non-online left, so they're on the left. Then I go and see, Maxine Waters. We go from a few years ago with the BLM riots where she's calling for violence. Then we see this guy just this week say from the Democratic Party, I think he's a city congressman, can't think of his name, but he said Republicans should have no peace, right? Like that we should protest and disturb them in their.
None of these people are the president, by the way.
AOC statements on the killing of Brian
AOC statements. Hold on, but then now we even have a mayor being charged with assault, and there's videos of him and other sitting Congress people attacking guards at an ICE facility. We have the videos. It's clear they're aggressively attacking people and trying to incite a riot at this ICE facility. These are sitting Democratic officials, along with prominent left-leaning speakers in the not online space, now acting out and advocating for violence.
I have a
Now,
question.
TikTok posted that crazy stat. Is they were saying that people calling for assassination is actually trending up on their platform. These are all indicators. This is an accepted overall movement. When y'all point to Republicans, you point to January 6th, 77% don't approve of this. This is not a widespread thing. When a shooting happens as a Republican, like at a school, we all condemn it. We say it's bad. We're not advocating for this.
We respond.
Y'all are advocating for all these things. Yeah,
$5 from Ben Riley says, Lactoid, if you really are a libertarian, then Trump shouldn't be your guy if you're ideologically consistent. Hashtag just
Oh
saying.
my fucking God.
Emoji face. Staxiums, go ahead.
Ben, we've talked about this a couple times. We can talk about it again if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, the thing about the MSNBC host saying that Afrikaners should be deported back to the Netherlands or deported to the Netherlands, is that
She
right?
didn't know the right country. She said the wrong country first. She said like Germany. Is what
Okay,
she said.
so
She
you-
didn't know
so
that.
you-
She was just being openly racist.
Cool, gotcha. So you think that refugees that come into this country should not be deported, and advocating such is a form of violence, correct?
No, that's not what I said. I also said that she also called for violence against her and actively called for violence.
Well,
against
wait, what's
if they
wrong with
came
what she
her.
said then? What's wrong with what she said? Who cares?
Well, she said something racist, naming the wrong
cares?
country, and then she
Who
followed up
cares?
with, "We should actively attack these
Shithole
people."
countries,
Is that
who
not, like,
cares?
leftist inviting?
What? When did that come into the
Who
conversation?
cares?
Because you didn't
Woke,
say that.
woke right,
I
woke
did say
MAGA.
that.
Grow up. Who
Yeah,
cares?
These
did.
people?
Yeah, they said they don't want them here. They want violence. They said they should
It's
have
like
violence.
playing playground
Wait,
games with
hold on,
little
hold
kids
on.
that are constantly changing the rules so you're never allowed to win.
Well,
Like,
it's-
I'm
what's
sorry.
crazy
Who
is you don't
cares?
listen and then you say it's changed the rule.
No, you changed the rule and then
You
refuse
said
to
an
let us
MSNBC
play by
host.
them.
I want to be clear. You said an MSNBC host said we should actively attack South African refugees, correct?
Several prominent
Quote?
people. Yeah. Yeah. I'll
Okay,
find it.
I would love if anyone could find this, because I'll be honest. I'm willing to look like a fucking idiot here. I think there is a 0% chance that occurred. 0%.
All right, I'll find it for you in a moment. Here, give me a second.
Okay, I'm excited. Just, I believe that an MSNBC host said, we don't want him here, or referred to the wrong country. Which, if that's your fucking metric, bro, I would love to point to your president for 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's
Like,
demonstrable
we all
of how
know-
unprincipled MAGA is. Why, again, they shouldn't be commenting on how the left conducts itself, because they can't even hold themselves to the standards that they demand we live by when it comes to being racist. Holy shit, have you met the president? Like, I'm not even one of the guys that tries to do that. Like, I don't care. But if we're going to start evaluating by those metrics, dear fucking Lord, that is not a contest that conservatives, MAGA, or Trump is going to win.
The president.
Remember when he said?
No, the president is less racist than the last president. Definitely.
Than the last president?
Yeah, than Biden. Did Trump?
That may be
Trump
true,
make,
but Biden did not try to do an insurrection.
Hold on. Did Trump make a requirement for a Supreme Court pick to be a certain race?
Did Trump spend thousands of his own dollars, thousands of his personal money to run continuous ads to call for the conviction of the Central Park Five after their exoneration?
Did Joe Biden say that?
That's not overt racism in this.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Joe Biden. Wait, hold on.
That's not overt racism. It could be racism. It could be racism.
And then you can comment.
I could be against that.
It is the most explicit form of racism when you say the only way that I'm going to select you for the Supreme Court is if you're a black woman. And I think it is also racist to say that the only way that you get to be my vice president is if you're a woman, preferably black.
Right. Because, and I agree with you, Lactoid. Because a judge's ethnicity has no markings on whether or not they can do their job. Correct?
Yeah.
Which is why Donald Trump.
Oh my God!
But if they're part of La Raza, maybe it could. I don't know. Tell me.
What the fuck is La Raza?
Oh, that's the next gang that's going to be designated a terrorist organization.
And he said that, look, this person was a member of La Raza, which was like a Mexican interest organization. This was the argument for why he was biased. He was literally part of an
No, that's not the argument. No, that's the justification that was invented post hoc. That is the justification that was invented post hoc to make the Trump admin seem less deranged. Absolutely not. He didn't like that the judge was criticizing him, or the judge's daughter was criticizing him. That's it.
He was part of a pro-Mexican organization. This is opposite.
If you believe that, Lactoid, you are stupider than I gave you credit for. Genuinely.
This is opposite from Joe Biden. Okay.
Holy shit!
Without any reference to any kind of like membership of organizations, without membership of the NAACP or whatever the fuck, just simply saying like, if you want to be part of this Supreme Court, you must be a black woman. This is the epitome of racism.
Okay,
and by the way, affirmative action also racist. More racism from the lefties, by the way. Affirmative action. Go ahead, Nafan.
Yeah, just on the affirmative action thing, like. Would you agree, let's say hypothetically, if there were the type of like systemic racism that the left talks about or whatever, do you still think it would be racist to do affirmative action in that society?
Of course.
Okay.
Hold on.
It could be racist, non-fun.
We're going to discriminate against an applicant for being white because there's systemic racism that's beyond their control. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and so I have the exact quote now, by the way.
I don't think it's discrimination in the sense that we usually talk about discrimination, but but I think like attempting to give opportunity to people who you don't believe have had the opportunity historically or whatever. I don't think that's anywhere close to the level of racism that's alleged to Donald Trump, at least.
Look, this judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I'm going to do very well with the Hispanics, the Mexicans, so no Mexican judge could ever be involved in a case that involves you. I think he should recuse himself, says Trump.
Yeah, he mentioned La Raza, and he specifically made the connection between his Mexican heritage and La Raza. Look him up.
La Raza.
Oh, the one article you're looking at, you think that he referenced La Raza?
This is a quote. But hold on, I've got the fucking transcript here.
The full thing.
Yes.
The whole conversation. He doesn't mention La Raza once.
I don't see. I would love for you to show me, but I don't see it. La Raza.
Okay, I don't know how to spell that. Because I don't remember every single word that Trump has ever said in those speeches. I do want to ask Potts, right?
Yes.
Get you
La Raza.
Oh, you just Googled it wrong? Good job. Fair enough.
It's not here. He didn't say La Raza.
Okay. Potts. Question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that Trump what's being alleged here, that Biden was more racist than Trump? what are your thoughts on that? I want to give you a chance to kind of address these things and get you back in the conversation because you have been quiet and been a good boy for a little bit. So
Okay.
I've been making you content. I thought I was a good boy for content.
You're all good boys. Everyone gets a treat. Okay, go ahead.
So I think that the allegations of Biden being racist are just like ridiculous. I don't think that. I think any statement that is attributed to him being racist is either him like a mental gaffe or just like genuinely being, misquoted. Otherwise, the allegations of Donald Trump, though, are much more concrete. He has, like he brought up the case, I forget the name of it, the 5 in the Central Park 5. Yeah, Central Park 5. The statements and that whole case is just ridiculous, denying the housing applications, his statements about all of the immigrants, the Muslim ban, just basically every action that he takes when it involves minorities or races or anything of that nature comes with an undertone of like, that just seems a little ridiculous. Even the dismissal of the Jags, when he did that, it was the statement he gave. The reason for why he did that was to combat diversity in the military. But everyone that he fired were extremely well respected. They had great careers. They had lots of time in the service, and then they replaced them with people who just like had bachelor's degrees in political science that have never served in the military. That's a DEI. Like that is the peak of just inserting people who are unqualified into positions they don't belong. So yeah, I just think the whole comparison is ridiculous.
Okay. I'm shocked.
Wait, can I respond to something?
I'll let you respond real quick. But I am shocked no one mentioned the biggest thing in my mind, which was the Obama birth certificate thing. Obama was
True.
Yeah, the birther.
Blah blah blah. But
well, it's not racist because his name's Hussein, so you never know.
Not nearly as racist again as like saying that you must be a particular race to have a job in my administration. Fucking crazy.
Just like that is just like how the Democrats are undemocratic for just putting Kamala forward, but the Republicans are democratic for electing an insurrectionist.
Hold on.
So you're saying
at least Trump won a primary? Okay, actually won an actual.
Kamala won a primary too, dipshit.
Kamala won a primary too. In 2020.
Yes, we are winding.
She didn't win that.
Yes, go ahead, Lactoid.
She was the running mate. She was the running mate.
As the VP, not the P.
Correct.
There's a difference between the two.
Why do you think we elect VPs? It's for when the fucking P goes away.
I'm going to fact check you, okay?
Come on.
You said something that I knew was incorrect. But then I found the transcript, okay, and I see where you're wrong, okay? Let me do this here. So Tapper. So no Mexican judge could be involved in a case that involves you. Trump. Quote, well, he's a member of a society where, very pro-Mexico, and that's fine. That's all fine. But specifically referencing La Raza. He's specifically referencing the society. Exactly.
Okay. I just want to push back on the wanting a specific race to be in like a political position.
It's racist.
The whole point of politics is about representation. It's about representing your population. It's about getting, representing your constituents. And I think that like after you have a pool of qualified candidates, after you already have made the determination that they're qualified, to say, oh, I think I should probably bring in a minority because I'm an old white guy. I probably shouldn't be I shouldn't pick another just, normal white guy. I should pick someone who's qualified, but also of a different race so they can represent a broader view of society and a bigger portion of people that I can't reach, that I don't actually represent.
Sure. Let me ask you this. If you're in a primarily white area, let's say like 98 or 99% white, and then you start talking to people and they're like, we're not going to vote for that guy. He's black. And he doesn't represent us. A white person would represent us. Do you think that'd be like a little bit of a racist sentiment?
I think that it would really depend on the person. It would depend on the context. I think.
What context could make that racist?
It's a spectrum.
No, that's just flat out racist. This is flat out racist. If somebody said I'm not going to vote for Obama because he's black, that's racist. Flat out. Even though most of America is white. Even though most of America is white, that doesn't mean that you can just.
So I think the difference is they're withholding the position. They're withholding the position from him because of his race. They're saying his race is what disqualifies him for me. Yes.
And there's lots of people who could be. There's lots of people who could be on the Supreme Court that weren't black women.
If you only date women, are you misogynist or misandrist? Are you a misandrist?
I mean, I'm a misogynist and I only date women.
Sure,
So I'm,
fair enough.
I hate everyone.
Nice.
Just saying.
Super.
We are
2016
kinda
Reddit
winding
called.
down. We are kind of winding down, right? It's been, look, I've been at
ain't
this for
broke.
3 hours, and I'm an old man,
Aw.
old white man, if that matters. It doesn't.
It does.
White presenting, I should
does
say.
it?
Guys,
These
you
people.
all.
Get
I
him.
want to thank you all for. Oh my, this has been a tough one to moderate, but I appreciate you all coming by. I appreciate you all coming down. We're going to give each of these lovely individuals closing thoughts, closing statements on the matter at hand. I do want to remind people that if you enjoy this content, if you like what I do here, if you've had fun watching this, hit that like button. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you hit that subscribe button so you can see more. We got some great content coming up tomorrow. We're going to be talking about all sorts of news of the day stuff, call-ins. It's going to be fun. I'll let other people debate me if they want, like the guy who did earlier today. We are going on Wednesday. We have a very special show. We're going to have Enemy Charlie and Tolly Bots, women, and they're going to be fighting for our amusement. We're going to put them up against Team Fatty and another gentleman who say that women don't really deserve rights. And so these women are going to fight for their rights, literally. Let's see if they are able to succeed. So tune in Wednesday for that. It should be fun. And tune in tomorrow for some call-ins, some chill vibes. With that said, I'm going to give it first to JC, and we're going to end with non-fun. So JC, close us out.
Sure. Well, this was a very frustrating panel, but it was also very telling. I think the fact that we kept circling back around to right-wing and specifically MAGA examples of violence was pretty telling with regards to the prompt. Obviously, even if left-wing violence was more on the rise than the minuscule amount that it is clearly not even close to the problem that we face institutionally downstream from the office of the president, so long as he enjoys criminal immunity and is allowed to break the law flagrantly in front of the country's face, like accepting $400 million bribes, like refusing to obey directives from the Supreme Court, regardless of how some individuals on this panel may have thought the president was obligated to do. I think that the idea that, at the end of the day, the idea that like Republican conservatives were on here at all to criticize us is kind of hilarious, and I hope that I get to have the conversation about like in-party critique with some left-wingers who are actually concerned with addressing violent rhetoric instead of maggots who have no interest in doing so.
Where can people find you?
Oh, sorry. So I'm on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, and TikTok now. And then I'm also on Twitter, all under some variation of the Big JC. And I'm also in your server, too. So.
Check them out, gang. Thank you for being here. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Ick.
Daxioms.
Hi. I feel accomplished during this debate as JC began the debate thinking he was rather a centrist and then realized exactly who he was dealing with and came pretty promptly to our side.